Let's start. Welcome everybody to this webinar. I want to become a Scrum Master, but I don't know where to start. So, what are we going to talk about? So this is the content. First, a short introduction of myself. So who am I? What do I bring to the table? Then we're going to talk about the skills of Scrum Master, soft skills, hard skills. And then we're going to talk about certifications. What are the certificates that you need to become a Scrum Master, the bare minimum and the desirable certifications. We're also going to talk about CV, cover letter, and social media profiles and how that is relevant for your job application. We're going to talk about contracting work, permanent work, or freelancing. I'm going to provide you some practical tips. And at the end, we have some room for questions and answers. And finally, we're going to wrap up. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A for that. So on your screen at the bottom, you have some icons. There is an icon with a question mark. When you click on that question mark, it's icon for the Q&A. There you can put down your question. I'm going to answer. I hope that I can answer all of your questions during the Q&A. So if you have any questions about the topic, already it's in the beginning, just put it in the Q&A, and at the end, I'm going through all the questions. I will provide answers. And if we don't have enough time during this webinar, I will copy all the questions into a document. I put my answers to that document and I will email it to you. So you will get all the answers to the questions. Okay? Yeah, so introduction. Who is Peter Nijnhuis? My name is Peter Nijnhuis. I am 45 years old. I'm a Dutch guy originally, but I don't live in the Netherlands. I live in Portugal with my family, with my wife and our two teenagers. I've been active in the agile field for around 15 years or so. I've worked as a manager, I've worked as a consultant, as a Scrum Master, of course, an agile coach and a DevOps coach. I was part in agile transformations. I was part in DevOps transformation. I've led agile transformation and I've led DevOps transformations. I worked at large multinational enterprises, but also worked with startups and scale-ups. I've worked with very commercial organizations and also with non-profit organizations. And more importantly, I've sat on both sides of the table. What I mean with that is when I was a hiring manager, I hired Scrum Masters. So I know what to look for when hiring a Scrum Master. But I also sat on the other side of the table. So when I was a Scrum Master, a freelance Scrum Master, and I want to get hired, I also know what kind of questions people would ask and what's needed to get hired. So that experience and that knowledge is very valuable for you that I want to share with you. So I have my own company, Solid Heroes, and like I said, I've worked as a consultant, Scrum Master, Agile coach, but nowadays I'm focusing on helping Scrum Masters so they don't have to invent the wheel themselves. So I want to share all my experience, all my failures, all my successes, everything that I've seen, the things that went well, the things that went wrong. I want to share it with you so you don't have to invent the wheel yourself. Okay. So what do I bring to the table? So my 15 years of experience bundled in courses, in coaching programs, so you don't have to invent the wheel yourself. So we are here, the free webinar. What I'm offering is, besides this free webinar, is I have written a guide, an ultimate guide for the Scrum Master interview. So let's say you have applied for a Scrum Master job. This guide is very practical with all kinds of information. What kind of questions can you expect? What kind of answers is required to answer, some practical tips, knowledge about Scrum, and so on, and so on, and so on. I have a coaching program, Getting You Landed as a Scrum Master. When you're going to buy this program, you will get the ultimate guide for free. And this is very interesting for you as aspiring Scrum Masters. When you're working as a Scrum Master, then the courses and the programs on the right side are more relevant and more interesting. So I have an online course, Scrum versus Kanban versus Scrumban. So it's very good to know that Scrum isn't always suitable for every situation. So Scrum is very suitable for software development situations and context. If you're working in a marketing context or in a different business context, Scrum isn't always suitable. Maybe Kanban is a better fit or Scrumban is a better fit. And this course will tell you everything about, well, what are the differences, what kind of roles do we have in each framework, what kind of artifacts do we have in each framework, and what kind of ceremonies do we have in each framework, and also the do's and the don'ts for the roles, the artifacts, and the ceremonies. I have an online course, How to Deal with Resistance. So when you're going to work as a Scrum Master, Scrum Master is all about coaching, guiding, being a servant leader, and so on and so on. And you will encounter resistance. And resistance isn't per se a bad thing if you know how to deal with it. So this course is all about what kind of different resistances can you expect, what are the causes of this resistance, and how to deal with it. What kind of approach should you take? And I have a coaching program, Your First 100 Days as a Scrum Master. So in this first 100-day Scrum Master, you will get an intake, a plan of action with measurable goals. You will get these two courses that I just mentioned. That's part of it. You will also learn how to earn trust, how to improve the team performance. You will get access to my Slack environment. You can have Q&A via my Slack environment. You will get access to cheat sheets. You will get coaching sessions. You will get mentoring sessions. You will get fly on the wall sessions. So it's a very intense program. When you're going to buy this one, let's say, and don't feel obligated to buy anything. So this is a free webinar, and I'm going to share a lot of content, a lot of knowledge in this free webinar. So don't feel obligated, but just so you know that I'm offering these services. When you're going to buy this program, Getting You Landed as a Scrum Master, you will get this ultimate guide for free, but you will also get a 200 euros discount for this program. Okay, let's dive deeper. So the skills. You have soft skills and you have hard skills, and there's quite an overlap between those skills. But when we're going to talk about soft skills for a Scrum Master, it's very important that you have good communication skills. And with communication skills, I mean active listening. It is very important to be good at active listening. So we have 2 ears, 1 mouth, act accordingly. So ask questions, ask open-ended questions, acknowledge the emotions and the feelings of your communication partner. And when you're doing active listening in a proper way, that will increase trust, and trust is the necessary ingredient for a psychological safety environment. More of that in a later moment. Providing constructive feedback. So it's very easy to give feedback, and most people do it more in a blunt way. It's more of finger pointing, you did it wrong and you shouldn't have done that. That isn't a very constructive way of providing feedback. So it is very important that you know how to give constructive feedback and also how to receive feedback. That's also a very important skill. And like I said, asking open-ended questions. Ask questions that start with how, with what, with when, and so on and so on. Don't ask a question where your communication partner can answer with a yes or a no, because that will, well, you don't have a dialogue then, and you really want to have a dialogue. Showing empathy is also a very important soft skill. With empathy, it will show that it's quite relevant to active listening, and there's an overlap with active listening. So when you're showing empathy, people will trust you, and you as a Scrum Master slash a servant leader, you should build on trust, and empathy is a very important ingredient for trust. Conflict resolution, also very important. You should know how to deal with conflicts, because most of the time you as a Scrum Master are the mediator in that conflict. It can be that the product owner has a conflict with a stakeholder. It can be that a team member has a conflict with the product owner. And in most cases, you as a Scrum Master is the mediator. Servant leadership is also very important. So with servant leadership, it doesn't mean that you have to do everything, you have to solve everything. No, it isn't. But it is very important that you know how to be a good servant leader. When are you going to fix things for them, and how are you going to fix those things? And also, are you going to fix everything for them, or are you going to teach the team how to fix the things themselves? So servant leadership is also very important, and same as problem solving skills. So working in a Scrum environment, it means that you're working in a complex environment, because otherwise you wouldn't have picked Scrum, or the organization wouldn't have picked Scrum. And it means working in a complex environment also means that you have to deal with problems. And how are you going to solve those problems? So it's very important that you have proper problem solving skills. So this is for the soft skills. So there are a lot more soft skills, but these are the most important ones. And in a few moments, we're going to talk about the resume slash CV. It is very important that these soft skills are emphasized in your CV. Okay. Hard skills. So, like I said, it has a lot of overlap with the soft skills, but how to create a psychological safety environment. So, psychological safety, that's all about trust and people feeling safe enough to express their opinions, to express their feelings. When the environment isn't safe enough for them to express their feelings and their emotions, they will not say anything, or they will not say everything. And you really don't want that kind of situation. So you want to have a safe environment where everybody can be transparent and can say the things that they want to say. But how to create a psychological safety, that's really a hard skill. So there's a lot of soft skills needed, but how to create psychological safety, how to create an environment where people trust each other, an environment where people can speak up, an environment where people can be transparent. You really need to know how to create such a psychological environment. Sarcasm, that's killing for your psychological safe environment. How to coach. So coaching, that's a soft skill, but how to coach, that's a hard skill. So when you're going to coach a product owner, let's say you're going to coach a product owner in prioritizing the backlog in a proper way, that you're going to use WSJF, which stands for weighted shorted job first. That's a different coaching approach than you're going to use when you're going to coach a stakeholder. Let's say you want to coach a stakeholder and that person doesn't know what Scrum is. That requires a different coaching approach than coaching the product owner. So you really need to know how to coach. What kind of context are you in? What kind of situation are you in? And what kind of approaches are you going to use for that particular situation? How to facilitate ceremonies. So you as a Scrum Master, you going to facilitate a lot of ceremonies, like in the daily stand-up, the planning session, the retrospectives. And it's really important that you know how to facilitate to make sure that you get an effective and qualitative ceremony, but you also should apply some variation to it. If you're going to do a daily and you're going to ask the 3 questions during the daily, you're going to do that over and over and over and over again, over time it becomes boring and people will feel less engaged with the daily. So you should put some variation into it. Not always asking the 3 questions, but also ask other questions. Same goes for the retrospective. You can do a retrospective and get all the information, all the feedback from the team, do some dot voting, picking the top 3 and start improving on that. But if you're going to use that format over and over again, it will become boring for the participants and you will have less engagement. So you should also use some variations during your retros. So how to facilitate the ceremony and especially how to put some variation into your ceremonies. Agile methodologies and frameworks. So like I said in the beginning, Scrum isn't always suitable for every situation. So you as a Scrum Master, it's very handy that you know what kind of agile frameworks are there. You have Scrum, you have Kanban, you have Scrumban, but there are even more agile frameworks. You have XP, FDD, DSDM, and also scaling frameworks. You have SAFe, the most known one and the most used one, but you also have Nexus and Less. So it's really important that you know about these frameworks and that you can pick a different agile framework when you're working in a different context. Tricks, also very important. So what I've seen in my career is that a lot of Scrum Masters, they mainly focus on velocity. And velocity isn't a very tangible metric. So let's say a team has a velocity of 24 in the previous sprint. And in the sprint before that, they had a velocity of 21. What does it say? It says nothing, right? So you really want to have some tangible metrics, and the DORA metrics can help. So the DORA metrics that consists of 4 metrics, which is lead time, deployment frequency, change fail percentage, and time to restore. These are very tangible metrics. But you also have your VSM metrics, your value stream mapping metrics, which is about lead time. There you have it again. Execution time, waiting time, handover moments, manual tasks, automated tasks, and so on, and so on, and so on. So it's very important that you know what kind of metrics you can use as a Scrum Master to make your team grow to a more autonomous team, more self-organizing team, and eventually a high-performing team. And you need metrics for that. Boards, and what do I mean with boards? Your backlog, your product backlog, your sprint backlog, but also an improvement board. So you as a Scrum Master, you are there to coach the team, to guide the team towards more autonomy, self-organizing, and that could mean that you want to improve the team dynamics, or you want to improve the feedback that the team members are giving each other, or you want to improve the collaboration with the product owner. Now, these are different kind of improvements, and you don't want to put those improvements on your product backlog or on your sprint backlog. So you want to put those improvements on your improvement board. You, as a Scrum Master, you are the owner of the improvement board, and you are going to frequently, let's say every sprint or every month or every quarter, get the improvement board and work with your team on the improvements that you want to work on. Okay, so that's it for the skills. Let's have a chat about certifications. So over here you will see some certifications. Here are the 2 most used, most common certification paths that is out there. But there are more certification paths. So I'm going to talk about these 2 because these 2 are the most common ones. So you have the certification path of scrum.org. You have your PSM1, Professional Scrum Master 1. You have your PSM2 and your PSM3. And you have the certification path of Scrum Alliance, CSM, A-CSM and CSP SM. So CSM stands for Certified Scrum Master. A-CSM stands for Advanced Certified Scrum Master. And CSP SM stands for Certified Scrum Professional Scrum Master. Now, these two certifications, they are quite common, and a lot of companies ask for at least these certifications. So you don't have to go for your PSM1 and for your CSM, because that's double. So either go for your PSM route or go for your CSM route, but don't go for PSM1 and CSM, or for your PSM2 and your ACSM, because that's a bit of an overkill. The bare minimum that you should have as a Scrum Master is PSM1 or CSM. Preferably, desirably, you have PSM2 or a CSM. The PSM3 and the CSPSM, you don't need that. That's for a lot later when you're a media or a senior Scrum Master, then you can go for those certifications. It is also very good to know that you have multiple routes for certifications, right? So you have the Safe Scrum Master certification, but you also have the PMI CAP route, which is about the Certified Agile Practitioner. But these certifications, they are less common and less used. SAFE is only used for large enterprises, but it is specifically for SAFE. And PMI, that's more of a project management, a traditional project management approach. And they wanted to get, well, selling their certifications to aspiring Scrum Masters. So once again, if you're going for a certification, either go for scrum.org certifications or go for the Scrum Alliance certifications. There is a downside to it, especially for the Scrum Alliance. So when you're going to get a certification at Scrum Alliance, those certifications have to be renewed every 2 years. So it's sort of a money drain for them. So first you have to take a course, then you have to take an exam. If you're going to pass that exam, you will get your certification. And every 2 years you have to renew your certification. If you're forget in renewing your certification, you have to do a course again with a new exam again. So that's the downside of Scrum Alliance. On the other side, Scrum.org certifications, they have those certifications are valid for your whole life. Okay. Let's move on to the CV. So, CV, that's a very important document. Cover letter is also a very important document. There are a couple of mistakes you can take when you're going to create or update your CV. So a bad CV has grammar mistakes, typos. It has an unprofessional email address, and with an unprofessional email address, I would mean like sexyblueeyes@hotmail.com or I love apple pie @gmail.com. That isn't a very professional email address. Okay. Irrelevant or inappropriate pictures. It is not tailored to the job position. So let's say you have a CV and you're going to apply for different kind of jobs. So not only for Scrum Master, but also you also want to apply for an RTE, release train engineer, or maybe you want to apply as an agile coach, or maybe you want to apply as a project manager, and you're using the single same CV for all those different job applications, then it isn't tailored to the job. And people will find out and you will get a rejection. Your CV is disorganized or it is hard to read. It has an unprofessional font. It is not matched with your cover letter. So when you're going to apply for a job, please make sure that it's tailored for the job, but your cover letter is also tailored for the job. It has no profile picture or it has an unprofessional profile picture. An unprofessional profile picture is, let's say you have a baseball cap on or you have sunglasses on, or if you're not looking into the camera while taking the photo, or it's a photo of you sunbathing on the beach, something like that. That's a unprofessional, for a work setting. It's an unprofessional photo. Okay. And by the way, your profile picture should be the same as your LinkedIn profile, because we're going to talk about that later. But if your CV and your cover letter will pass the ATS, and the ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System, then your CV and your cover letter will be delivered in the mailbox of the hiring manager or of the HR department. And when they're going to look at your CV, they will also check your social media profiles and they will check LinkedIn profile first. So it's very important that your profile picture is the same on your CV as on your LinkedIn profile, because they will recognize you sooner. Okay. If you have a different profile picture, it's confusing for them. And finally, your bad CV has long chunks of text. Now, good CV, it is easy to scan. It is ATS compliant. So I briefly said it before. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. So a lot of companies, especially the larger companies, they use automated software for scanning the first batch of CVs and cover letters. This is a fully automated process. If your CV isn't ATS compliant, if your cover letter isn't ATS compliant, you will get an auto rejection anyhow. Not a single person has looked at your CV, has looked at your cover letter. So it's very important that your CV and your cover letter is ATS compliant. Okay. Ideally, it's a one-pager. If it's impossible for you to put all the information on one page, then put all the required information, the most important information, put it on the first page of the CV. All the less important information, put it on the second page or the third page and the fourth page, and so on. Has a professional profile picture, like I said before. A professional profile picture, no sunglasses, no baseball caps, not sunbathing, and it has to be the same as your LinkedIn profile. A professional email address. And with a professional email address, it means first name, last name at gmail.com, or first name, last name at hotmail.com. Can also be first name or just your first name at gmail.com, whatever, but don't use sexy blue eyes of I love apple pie or I love eating sushi. Those kind of email addresses you shouldn't use. So use a professional email address. Your CV is focused on your skills and your achievements. So that's very important. People, if you're going to pass the ATS and your CV and resume is going to be delivered in the inbox of the hiring manager, they first will look at your skills and your achievements. That's a very important thing. It should be tailored for the job. Also, your cover letter should be tailored for the job. A simple layout, contact information. It should have your phone number and your email address. You can add your hometown, an address, your street address. That's not necessary, but your phone number and your email address, that should be at least on there. Then you can add your hometown, and that's enough for the contact information. And your skills should be emphasized in your CV, the soft skills and the hard skills. It really should be emphasized in your CV. Okay, the cover letter. So do not underestimate the importance of a cover letter. It is very important. So, first of all, when you're going to apply for a job as a Scrum Master, check if there are any prerequisites for the file name or the files that you have to send. If they're asking for a PDF file, you have to send the PDF file. If they are asking explicitly for a docx file, you have to send a docx file. If you're not going to send a docx file while they're asking for it, you will get an auto rejection. If they're asking for a PDF and you're sending a docx, you will get an auto rejection. If they're not saying anything about prerequisites about the file or the file name, it's very safe to send in a PDF. Okay. And this is also underestimated, the file name. So it's very important that you use the same convention for both files. So you have your CV, you have your cover letter. Your CV should be like something like first name, last name, dash CV dot PDF. And your cover letter should have the same naming convention. So first name, last name, dash cover letter dot PDF. Why is this so important? So when you have passed the ATS and your CV and your cover letter is being delivered to an inbox of the hiring manager. So the hiring manager is checking the inbox. A CV, but he has to go to a meeting. Couple of hours, he returns, checks his email again, and he has 60 new emails in his inbox. Then he's going to search, or she is going to search for your CV. And the hiring manager is not going to do that via scrolling. No, he will or she will type in the name. So it's very important that your last name is part of the file name of your CV and is part of your cover letter. So no, don't name it my CV.pdf or my cover letter.pdf or .x, docx, because they will have a hard time finding your CV and your cover letter in their email box again. Your cover letter should have at least the following. So your contact information, telephone number, email address, and your hometown. A current date. Now this example doesn't have a current date, but that's okay. And the company info, to which company are you addressing this cover letter and to whom are you addressing this cover letter? The salutation. So how are you going to open the cover letter? Are you going to open the cover letter, hey, Mrs. Johnson, or dear Mrs. Johnson? It's very safe to use dear Mrs. Johnson or dear Mr. Blah, blah. A proper opening line, your interest in the company and the position. So it should be really clear what your reason is for applying for this particular position at this particular company. Hiring managers, HR, will look for a culture fit. And with a culture fit, it means they're looking for people who have the same beliefs, the same values as the company has. So I don't know if you know Patagonia. Patagonia, it's a company from the United States. It's a very sustainable company. They are making clothes for adventurers, but they are producing it in a very sustainable manner. So when they're looking for new people, for new colleagues, for new employees, they will look for employees and colleagues who have those same beliefs and same values. Let's say if you're such a person who has a strong belief and value in sustainability, and you're going to work for an oil rig company or a chemical company, there is a mismatch in beliefs and values. And eventually, you will not like the job, you will not like the position, you will not like the company. So it's very important that you put down in your cover letter the reason why you want to work for this particular organization. So the hiring manager or the HR employee will see, hey, here's a culture fit. This person has the same beliefs and same values as we have as a company. Also, the reasons why you are a great fit for the job. So emphasize why you're the best person for this particular position. Very important. A closing paragraph with a CTA, a call to action. So your call to action should be like, give me a call, send me an email, something like that. The closing sentiment, and of course, your name. And finally, a postscript. So why a postscript? So it's very important that you want to stand out. So a lot of organizations, they will get dozens of CVs, maybe hundreds of CVs with cover letters. And even the ones that have passed the ATS, you still want to stand out with your CV and with your cover letter. And a PS can make sure that you will stand out. So let's say you're going to address your cover letter to Mrs. Johnson, and you're going to put in some time and effort into your research. So you're looking up Mrs. Johnson on LinkedIn, and you saw on LinkedIn that she wrote a blog about a specific topic. Your PS can be, hey, Mrs. Johnson, I saw your blog post on LinkedIn, a great blog post, and I totally agree with your opinions over there. With that PS, you will stand out and it will increase your success in getting invited for an interview. So it's very important to put a PS, but it should be a relevant PS. Okay. Um, Social media profiles when applying. So when you have passed the ATS and your CV and your cover letter is being delivered to the mailbox of the hiring manager or to the HR employee, they will check your social media profiles. Even if it's your personal social media profiles, they will look you up. They will check your Facebook account. They will check your Instagram account. They will look at your Twitter account and they will look at your LinkedIn account. So LinkedIn and Twitter, that's often used in a more professional setting. Facebook and Instagram is more used in a personal setting. So it's very important that when you're going to apply for a job, that you have checked your social media profiles and you should delete the unprofessional photos. You shouldn't use bad language. Negative remarks about a former or a current employee or a colleague is a no-go. Well, of course, reference to illegal activity. You don't want to have that. Controversial comments. You don't want to have that. Whinging and whining, complaining all the time, comments from other people. So let's say your best friend got drunk, you got also drunk, and your best friend is tagging you with showing a picture where you got drunk. That's unprofessional. Posting hastily. So when you want to do a quick post on social media and you have some typos in your description, or you're not paying enough attention to your photos, companies will see that, and they're not looking for people who not taking their jobs very seriously. So when posting hastily, it could imply that you're not paying attention for the details. So they really don't want that. Well, outing yourself or not posting anything at all. So in this digital era where everybody, well, 99% of the world has a social media profile, and you have a social media profile as well, but you're not posting anything, that's a bit odd. So you should posting on social media. Okay, let me grab some water. Permanent positions, secondment positions, contracting or freelancing. So you, as an aspiring Scrum Master, you should aim for a permanent position or a secondment position. This is just me giving some advice, so feel free what you want to do, but I would advise go for a permanent position or for secondment position. I will explain what a secondment position is in a couple of moments. But you don't want to go for contracting and freelancing right now, because when you're going for contracting work or you're going for freelancing work, it means that you need to have a solid track record. But since you're just starting as a Scrum Master, you don't have that solid track record yet. And then it's very hard to find contracting work and freelancing work. It's not impossible, but it can be quite challenging. So my advice would be go for a permanent position or go for a secondment position. Okay, so permanent position is you get hired by an organization and you work for that organization as a Scrum Master in this case. Secondment is you get hired for an organization, but you will work at a different organization. So let's say you've been hired by company A, you will get your salary from company A, you will have a contract with company A, so your primary working conditions and your secondary working conditions, that's all being taken care of with company A, but your skills, your expertise, or your capacity is needed somewhere else. This could be a different department, but in most cases, it's a different company. So let's say you're going to work for 6 months at company B as a Scrum Master, you still will get your salary for company A, and company B will pay company A for your services. After those 6 months, you will go from company B to company C. You work there for a year as a Scrum Master, and you still get your salary from company A. And after company B, you will go working for company C, another 6 months or so, also as a Scrum Master. This has some advantages, but also some disadvantages. If you're going for a permanent position, and a side note, this is for Europe mostly. So I don't know how this works in Africa. I don't know how this works in Asia or in North and South America. So this only applies for Europe. When you're going for a permanent position, in general, you have better secondary employment conditions. In general, you have better personal development plans, like in courses, certifications, trainings, and in most cases, you can follow these courses and these trainings during work hours. In general, you have a better healthcare insurance, and in general, you have better social security plans. The disadvantage of a permanent position is you have less variety in context, thus you're gaining less experience. So if you're going to work for a company, company A, and you're going to work as a Scrum Master of company A, that's your only context that you're getting. When you're going for secondment, you will work for company B for 6 months, then you're going to work for company C, and then you're going to work for company D. So in a relatively short amount of time, you will get all these different contexts and you will get more experience. The disadvantage of secondment is, or the advantage is you're getting a better salary in general. It's easier to get your first job as a Scrum Master because those companies, they already have the network, and it's easier to build a solid track record. The disadvantage of secondment work is that your personal development, they will invest time and money in you and in your personal development, but you have to do it outside working hours. Okay? And like I said, this applies mainly for Europe. I don't know how it's being handled in other continents. Okay, some practical tips. So it can be challenging to find your first job as a Scrum Master. That doesn't mean it's impossible. So here are some practical tips. if you find it hard to find your job, start using agile practices at home, at your community, at your volunteering work, whatsoever. Um, and maybe it sounds silly, but it really helps in getting your job as a Scrum Master. So start at home with using a Kanban board and do a daily with your family members. Do a daily with your kids. Um, search on LinkedIn for fellow Scrum Masters in your country. Send out a connection request to them, and once they have accepted your connection request, send them a message and ask if they know if their company has any vacancies. Join meetups in your area or join online meetups. Read books about the topic, of course. Watch videos about the topic. Follow thought leaders on social media and read their posts, and especially the remarks on those posts. They are very valuable. Um, Also, join LinkedIn groups and Facebook groups about the topic. Read what people are posting, and once again, read the reactions from other people. Those reactions are very valuable. And if you're able to visit conferences about the topic or visit online conferences about the topic. And when you've done this, emphasize it in your CV and also in your cover letter. That makes you stand out, and it makes you it makes you stand out because of you're putting effort, you're investing time, you're investing money in achieving this position. And people, companies, they want that. So wrap up. Skills, super important. Improve your soft skills, improve your hard skills if needed, and emphasize it in your CV. It's very important. Pay attention to your CV, to your cover letter, and to your social media platforms. Have at least the PSM1 certificate or the CSM certification, preferably PSM2 or the ACSM. Practice with Scrum ceremonies and agile practices at home, at your community, at your project, volunteering work, whatsoever, and emphasize it in your CV. Practice with the skills which are needed for Scrum Master. So in the beginning, I've said, what are the soft skills? What are the hard skills? Practice with those skills. And once you're doing that, also mention it in your CV. Let the company know that you're putting effort in achieving this position. And have an eye for detail and show your eagerness. Okay? Um, yeah, finally, I would really appreciate it if you would follow me. So I have a LinkedIn group on, LinkedIn, and I have a group on Facebook. Both groups are called Scrum Master Dojo. So please, if you're into it, join those groups. Follow my Instagram account, Solid Heroes. Please follow my YouTube account, also called Solid Heroes. And if you're interested in one of my courses or coaching programs, I have a discount for you, 25%. So go to my website, solidheroes.rocks, pick the program or the course that you want and use this code webinar, and then you will get the 25% discount. Okay, thank you very much. So what we're going to do, Q&A. We still have some time for Q&A. So put your questions in the Q&A if you have any. Let me get some water. Okay, I see that people are typing, so I'm quite curious about questions. Okay. Is it important to have coding skills? Ricardo, for my professional opinion, no. However, most companies require that the Scrum Master is a combined role. So a developer slash Scrum Master, or a business analyst slash Scrum Master, or a software tester slash Scrum Master. When they're asking for such a combination, then you should have coding skills if they're going for a developer slash Scrum Master. There is a downside to it, and I've put a video on YouTube, by the way. So check my YouTube channel, and there you will see a video about combining the different roles with the Scrum Master. The downside is being a developer that requires totally different skills compared to Scrum Master skills. And also the workload is quite immense. So being a Scrum Master, that's not a part-time thingy. So you want to put focus in your work, and therefore you need a lot of time, full-time job in being a good Scrum Master. And the same goes for a developer. So for my professional opinion, no. Most companies will say yes. Next question. And by the way, Ricardo, if that answers your question, give me a thumbs up. Next question. How long does it take to become a Scrum Master, and how much is an entry Scrum Master take? Yeah, this is a maybe a bit of a boring answer, but it depends. It depends on the skills you already have. It depends on the knowledge you already have. It depends on the experience you already have. It also depends on how fast can you learn? How fast can you gain new skills? How fast can you improve your existing skills? So when my first coaching program, that is getting you landed as a Scrum Master, that program that takes around 2 weeks. The other program, your first 100 days as a Scrum Master, well, it already says 100 days. That takes around 3 months. And during those 3 months, you will get a lot of courses, a lot of coaching sessions, a lot of mentoring sessions to become a good Scrum Master. So you need a couple of weeks to get acquainted to the theory, to the skills which are needed, and to have a look at your current skills and to make sure if you have to improve them or learn new skills. So that takes a couple of weeks. And once working, give or take a couple of months, 3 to 4 months or so. But like I said, it totally depends. Okay. The other question, can you describe how is looking one workday of a Scrum Master? What is he doing all day? This varies from day to day. So when I was a Scrum Master, my days would typically look like coming at the office in the morning, let's say 8 a.m., between 8 a.m. 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Getting some coffee, saying hello to my colleagues, having a chat with my colleagues, and at 9 a.m. or so, maybe sometimes earlier, maybe sometimes a bit later, you will start with your daily. It takes 15 minutes. After the daily, during the daily, a discussion, most of the time, a discussion is going to start. You really have to knock off the discussion. You don't want to have discussion during your daily. So after the daily, people will move on, continue with the discussion. Sometimes you as a Scrum Master are part of it. Sometimes it is not needed because it's very technical. You have your Scrum ceremonies, so you have to prepare your Scrum ceremonies. So you have to prepare the planning session. You have to prepare the retro, the outcomes of the ceremony. You have to take care of those outcomes. A lot of one-on-ones. So if you have a team which is showing quite some resistance, so resistant to change, you will have a lot of one-on-ones with those team members because you want to turn that resistance into collaboration. And that's why your coaching skills is so important. And coaching takes time. You really have to take your time, investigate what's the cause of the resistance. And once you know what the cause of the resistance is, you can tailor your approach in how to deal this with this resistance. So if you have a lot of team members, this will take quite some time. Stakeholder management is also part of it. So you're doing one-on-ones with your stakeholder, and you have regularly one-on-ones with your product owner, and also in preparing the some Scrum ceremonies, but also maybe some grooming with the product owner for the backlog, or you want to coach the product owner in prioritizing the backlog properly. Maybe you want to coach the product owner in having a balanced backlog. So in most cases, the product owner would have a backlog which consists of only new functionality, and there isn't any attention for technical depth, structural improvements, automation, and so on and so on. So it's also a lot of coaching for your product owner. Okay, any other questions? Also 7 p.m. over here. That's my time zone. So I think we're going to wrap up if there aren't any questions. Okay, let's wrap up, people. So thank you very much for joining this webinar. I hope it was valuable to you. If you have any feedback, if you have any additional questions, look me up on social media, look me up on Facebook, join my group, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, ask the question, provide me the feedback. It would be very helpful and I would really appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and hopefully till the next time. Ciao, ciao.